Greetings, weary travelers, come. Warm yourself by the fire, and let us regale you with mighty tales, tales of adventure, tales of heroism, and of course, tales of Tamriel. I am your host, Arkaniir, and I'm joined by the man, the myth, the legend himself, LotusOfDoom. How's it going, Lotus?
I'm doing pretty well, Just took a little hiatus from Midyear Mayhem so that we can record.
There you go. I mean, last Midyear Mayhem when we recorded, you were sort of repairing walls in the background.
I was repairing, so...
I thought you were going to do the same this week as well.
I was considering it, but since it's just me and you, it's a little harder to drift into the background until I need it. Which will probably make for some terrible audio, so I figured I could take a little break and actually put my full focus here. The other thing is, last Midyear Mayhem, between Hazardous Misfit and Promethean both pushing for Emperor, I was pretty much trying to be online as much as humanly possible.
Right.
This time it's just, I'm trying to hit my 5-star general status, my Grand Overlord, which is a selfish reason to play a shitload. So I'm fine with just like taking a little break here.
So how far ahead how far do you have for?
So I got my 3rd star last night. So I got 2 stars to go, which calculates to about 14 million AP.
Ooh, okay, that's definitely a road.
That's a lot, yeah. The scaling is, in my opinion, weighted far too heavily toward the end. It gets so exponentially ridiculous toward the end. It's just like, yeesh. So
yeah. Well, I mean, you'll get there. You have the PvP experience. You know how to farm the AP.
Right, and the other benefit is, unlike Emperor, where you need to be on it, making sure you're keeping pace with first place on the leaderboards and making sure appropriate keeps are flipped so that your alliance can claim what they need to and stuff like that. I don't need to do any of that. I can play 1 billion battlegrounds if I wanted. Like, I don't even need to be in Cyrodiil. It's like, no matter what, I'm steadily digging my way there. Just the better I am, the more efficient it is. That's all.
There you go. Still 14 million AP. That's...
Yeah, I'm not sure I'll hit it at the end of the event. I'm gonna give it the best effort I can between work and other things in my life. But we're gonna see how close we can get.
So, as you all can guess, our favorite event in Elder Scrolls Online is currently happening, which is the Midyear Mayhem, which is the PvP event that takes over Elder Scrolls Online every once, or sometimes twice a year. And it is happening right now. Also, I am a bit distracted because the cat that I'm looking after keeps jumping on the desk. So we have a 3rd co-host, just comes and goes. And if she knocks things over, beware. The video watchers will probably enjoy that. But for your audio listeners, if you hear any random knockings or thuds or stuff like that, just blame it on the cat.
I mean, to be fair, even when people can't see our pets, we seem to get a lot of positive feedback from just random jingles or squeaks from Boots when she's playing with toys.
Yeah, pretty much.
I assume it's just universal.
He's in places I can't see behind my monitors where my cables are, and now I'm like, you know. What are you doing there? Anyway, hopefully she will not disconnect my system. If she does, we'll just stitch this together like the last week where my recording software decided to bork. But until then, let's get on with the show, I suppose. So, what is Midyear Mayhem? Midyear Mayhem is the PvP event, as we mentioned, that comes in Elder Scrolls Online. Not always middle of the year. And it's double alliance points from all alliance points nodes, sources, basically. That includes Cyrodiil, Battlegrounds, the Cyrodiil and Battlegrounds quests, and all the stuff like that. You also have double Telvars, right? From Imperial City.
Believe so, yep.
And from every PvP activity that you do, including the rewards of the worthy eat mails that you get in the game, the Cyrodiil dailies and quests, the Battleground dailies, the Imperial City dailies, you get Midyear boon boxes, which drop a whole bunch of siege equipments like repair kits, forward camps, drop a lot of Telvars, and so on and so forth. Basically, it's a all around do anything PvP related and get a lot of rewards event.
Yep.
With this event, we got some new collectibles in the game as well, obviously with event tickets. So you get 2 tickets from Battleground and Cyrodiil dailies, whichever one you do first. And then you get 1 ticket from any district daily quest you do in Imperial City, as to a total of 3 tickets per day. With those tickets, what you can buy is the Ebon Steel Armor Outfit style pages, which was available last event as well, and currently what I'm wearing. It is a great sort of more European medieval, at least the way I see it, an armor style, which is really, really nice. But in addition to that, we got a whole new staff and shield style, which are the Alliance Banner Bearer staff and shield styles. Now, these are really, really nice because
the shields are sweet.
Yeah, basically, you have your Alliance banner on the shield. Imagine you know how those there are furnishing items, those shields.
Yep.
You can now carry them instead of just furnishing, basically. And the staff have this metallic engraved Alliance banner at the top instead of the usual staff visual that they have. That's pretty much it, honestly. That's the Midyear Mayhem.
Yeah, those are really kind of the only things that are different from every other Midyear Mayhem. If this is your first Midyear Mayhem, I mean, that's really it's a simple event. It's a PvP event, which divisive amongst the community, as the PvP community is much smaller. But yeah, it's a great way. Also, even if you don't like PvP and you want to get whatever skill line unlocked out of PvP, now is the time to do it because everything unlocks twice as fast. And actually, on top of that, this event, you can buy the food, or apparently they have the scrolls, much like Ambrosia's or the Crown Experience scrolls. There are Colovian War Torts and a scroll which will give you increased Alliance Point rank and Alliance Point skill line experience. You don't get more AP for using them, but it will level you up faster and it will unlock your skills faster, which is very cool. Big fan of those. Like them quite a bit. That was a new addition that we got. This is actually, I believe, the very first.
I think so. Yeah.
I think this might be the first Midyear Mayhem. I think they came out just after the beginning year Mayhem that happened earlier in January.
So one thing people might not know is every time you rank up in Alliance ranks, you get a skill point as well.
Also very true.
That is, the early levels are not too difficult to get. So with the double AP now and the double AP scrolls and foods, you can quickly rack up, just by tagging along a Zerg in Cyrodiil, you can quickly rack up some skill points as well.
Or, I mean, it's going to be a little more frustrating than Zerging, but even if you go into Battlegrounds, obviously you're granted more AP if you win. But even if you lose in a battleground, like you just go in and you just get completely obliterated, you still get a decent payout, especially for a low level. So,
although battlegrounds tend to be, just so you know, if you are going in there unprepared, battlegrounds tend to be a little bit more toxic. So do expect some messages in group chat or Zerg. Whispered. Yeah, so Zerging is a little more, no one really pays attention in a Zerg what everybody else is doing. So there is that, but battlegrounds can be a little bit more toxic with people calling out their teammates for random stuff that they also don't do. So
yeah, and to be fair, as somebody who constantly brings up, I prefer Cyrodiil. I'm not a big fan of battlegrounds personally. Battlegrounds are more skill intensive. Like the good players will shine more than the bad players, whereas in Cyrodiil, that's not as much the case because the design is not as much around balance. Whereas there are plenty of flaws with the balance of Battlegrounds, but Battlegrounds are more balanced than Cyrodiil is, because Cyrodiil really isn't meant to be balanced. I mean,
Yeah, it's
the
just
existence of
Zerg balls in
emperorship
Cyrodiil, like.
literally shows that that's the case. So
I mean, someone grabs Volendrang and just sneezes on people and
Yeah.
walls, and everything gets destroyed. It's
exactly.
And yeah, Battlegrounds. So one person who has an OP build and skill can really just win a Battleground match against two other teams. They can just melt everybody and everything down. So that's true. But definitely, I mean, instead of it's really an option. Instead of trying to find a group in Cyrodiil, which is really difficult, especially now that they
12 player
reduced the
groups.
group limit to 12.
Hate it.
Yeah, I hate it as well because it's so difficult to find a group now.
I don't
I'll
like it.
talk
People are-
about it during my tales as well.
Yep, not a fan. I mean,
Battlegrounds, you get rewards whatever you do, basically.
right.
Don't leave my mouse alone.
I mean, she's chasing the mouse. It seems on brand.
Yeah, she's like, you are paying attention to this keyboard and mouse thing, so I'm just
I
gonna
don't like
sit
any
on
of
it.
these.
She literally comes up to my mouse hand, turns around, and just sits on it, so I can't move it. And she sometimes does that while I'm in PvP, and I can only turn my camera like 15 degrees at any side, and just spams random skills and whatnot. It's she's like that. But yeah, I mean, Battlegrounds definitely my favorite thing right now in terms of PvP, especially now that I got a decent build as well. But yeah, another thing that you can get now during this event is actually the personality of the unstable monolith morph. So with update 30, they started introducing. Wait, it was before update. No, with update 30. It's my timeline is off, but basically they started introducing, instead of Indrix for events, we got this unstable morpholith fragments. First was the pet, which was just a floating orb, floating rock that was on fire. Then we got the skin, which was this Daedric Deadlands Dagon style glowy skin, skin markings and tattoos. And now we got the personality, which is the Deadlands Firewalker personality, which modifies a few emotes like Idle 2, 3, Approve, and Doom. And it's sort of this angry, sort of posing, not really anger, but sort of like a intense pose like personality. It is very decent, although if your armor has a neck plate, you stab yourself with it because your character does this sort of angled looking downwards stance. So if your armor has a neck plate, it just goes through your chin, which doesn't really work with my armor because I'm running the Ebon Steel chest plate, which does have a neck part. But yeah, so we got the personality as well. So the remainings are the mount and the house, which we will see when we get those in the future for the event collectibles. And that's pretty much it. Have you gotten this, Lotus?
I have. Okay, so we'll go into my typical spiel of do as I say, not as I do, because I'm bad at collecting things. I guess the gimmick where it's like, oh, cosmetics aren't really my thing. Sometimes people don't realize just how not my thing they are. So I haven't gotten any of the drops by chance.
Mhm.
However, I did remember to get this personality piece. I say that because I just remembered today, and I've been sitting at 12 tickets since the event started.
Oh no. I did that
Also-
the first day. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I did it all the way up until today, and I was like, "Oh yeah, that's why I'm not getting it." Because at first I was just turned it in, and the second day I was like, oh, "I should probably check my tickets," followed by not checking my tickets. And then today I was about to turn in my quest, and I was like, "Oh, wait!" And I went, I bought the thing, and I was like, "Yay, I'm playing the game!" And then went and actually turned in the thing, so getting better. And the other thing, which people plan these things out, where it's like, you can scoot in if PvP is not your thing, but you do want the tickets. People have pre-prepped their quests to just turn them in and stuff like that. I was with some of my group, and they're like, "All right, we're gonna go into Imperial City." I was like, "Incorrect," and I just like declined the group. They all went in, and I just stayed in Cyrodiil. They're like, "Takes like 5 seconds to get this." I was like, "That's 5 seconds of AP. I'm not getting an overworld." I was like, "I will have none of it." So, so I'm now remembering to spend my tickets, because I do dailies in Cyrodiil or Battlegrounds just because they are like I mean, they're basically mandatory completable if you just play a bunch. Like, so I'm glad I cleared those out, and I'm now back on track because I wouldn't mind buying. I'm going to assume that I probably am not going to get the luck drops, so I would like to buy that shield and the staff for the Ebonheart Pact, and I guess I could buy the AD one for Guarnir.
Oh man, that's just rude. That's just rude.
He uses the staff. I could get him the AD staff.
Oh no.
But yeah, so
that's actually
now
a good reminder. Do check your tickets before turning in quests, because if you are at 12 tickets already, the tickets you get for that day will be wasted. So do remember to spend them. And the thing is, if you don't care about any collectibles at all in terms of like cosmetics, you can get group repair kits with tickets, which are very useful because you use one group repair kit and it repairs all the items in everyone in your group. So you don't have to individually go to your like chest piece, right click repair, helmet, right click repair. Remind your group like do repair check, things like that. You could just like pop a group repair kit. People will love you, especially the lazy ones like myself.
No, nobody's going to get. If anything, that'll assure that people do not kick you off a Trials team. It's like, ooh, free repairs if he's in the group or she's in the group. It's like, keep him in here. Like,
so yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, it's a fun event. It makes getting into PvP, getting into Cyrodiil a bit difficult because, especially if you are in one of the main campaigns like Greyhost, you can expect massive queue times. Because everyone's basically in there doing things. And you can expect a bit more extra lag than usual because, again, everyone's packing it up. Everyone's doing the event. But other than that, it is a great time to do activities in Cyrodiil, get achievements, get collectibles, get some alliance points.
And they do open more campaigns. So, like, there are more campaigns than usual, too, to help accommodate overflow.
They do add 7-day campaigns, I believe, extra. I don't know if they add 30-day campaigns. That wouldn't make sense because the event doesn't run for 30 days.
Last 30 days. So I think it's just a 7-day and then it goes into a start of another 7-day.
Yeah.
I honestly, I only play in Greyhost except during this event where I can't get into Greyhost. Like the other day, the queue was 847 people. I was like, hell no. Like,
the highest I've seen was like 110 people in Greyhost. 800 people, goodness me.
Last event, I ran into one worse. The queue time said 10 plus hours.
Oh, God.
And I was 1,048 in line.
Jeez.
I was like, so cool. I'll see Greyhost right around the end of the event.
So yeah, if you want to get into Greyhost, basically queue up when you wake up, get a wireless mouse, tie it to your cat so it constantly moves around so you don't get kicked out of the game for like inactivity. And yeah, sometime you might actually get in if that's the case. It's not that bad in Cyrodiil. I mean, in PC EU, but it could just be timing or the load.
That could be
difference.
As well.
Yeah.
The best time to get into Greyhost was Wednesday night, last Wednesday night, and then just never leave. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. During the day, I've been able to get in, but yeah, once it's the evening prime time, it shoots up.
Yeah.
There you go, folks. This is the best time to get your PvP stuff in, even if you don't PvP normally, because you can spend those alliance points on like a lot of PvE stuff as well. You can get gear. You can turn it into money by buying alliance spell drops and sell it to people who run trials. So there's a lot of interchangeable value between PvP and PvE, or rather alliance points and gold.
Another thing that, this is kind of almost like a recap. We do this every essentially 6 months, so some of this will sound familiar, but another thing with the golden that arrives each weekend, this weekend it is rings. There's just gold rings of all the Cyrodiil sets, and there's some that I actually never understood why they were in there. There's some weird ones, but if you need jewelry from stuff, check the golden. You buy it in gold for AP, and it's like, I believe rings are 250,000 AP. I think
it's great value.
It's so much cheaper than getting that ring, even in purple quality, and upgrading it. And then next weekend will be all of the same things except in necklace form, as SD points out in chat. Also, even if you just want to grab one, get up, what do you call it? Oh, it's necklaces this week. Okay, my mistake. I guess it's necklaces this week. I always forget which one's first, necklaces or rings. Well, either way. One weekend is necklaces, one weekend is
rings.
Rings, thank you. And even if you just want to fill up your sticker book, another great side effect of this is buy the rings you want with AP, break them down. There's a good chance you'll get a chromium grain, which you get enough of those, you can just gold plate something that doesn't drop out of this event or hasn't been sold at the vendor. It's really just like a great chance to scoop up some stuff if you're doing the event anyways and getting thrown all this AP.
Yeah, and you will constantly get rewards of the worthy mails from the game, basically. And they contain all sorts of PvP gear in them, and a lot of purple jewelry. Like, a lot of purple jewelry drop from those rewards of the worthy boxes. And basically, I rack up on zircon grains and zircon platings massively during these events, because my email is like dozens of just rewards of the worthy boxes. And as SD said, you fill up the sticker book, you get purple materials from it. It's overall a good time to make some money.
The first rewards of the worthy you open each day, which you're not going to be able to hold these in perpetuity like you used to be able to do, because now you have that 1 month timer. So they will get thrown out. So you gotta try to open them, but you will open your mail, and if you have the spots for them, especially, this is more if you don't play a ton, like you're not stacking up millions of AP. Like if you're getting a little bit of a dabble into the event, make sure that you open one of your rewards of the worthy each day. Don't spam open them all at once unless you just get them constantly, because the first one you open will give you a gold geode every day for the first one you open.
It only drops for like 5 though. That gold geode from rewards of the worthy only gives 5 times.
I think it's between 4 and 10. I think is what it is.
I never got 10. I always get 5.
Oh, see, I
then
get 4
RNG.
Yeah, exactly, RNG. But it's another thing that if this isn't super your thing, you can scoop some free geodes out of the event as well, because they're probably going to send them to you.
So there you go. Yeah, it's overall, even if you are not a PvP person, this is definitely a good value event. Especially if you can look past the little bit of frustration that will come from getting killed by PvP focused people because their builds and whatnot will be up at the top PvP level. And if you're running around in PvE gear, you'll have trouble. But if you're in a Zerg, what you can do is just operate siege engines in the back. Don't even go into the front line. Get a meatpack catapult, get a fire ballista, something like that. Hang back, fire siege engines. It helps immensely. So you will still be helping your faction. You will still be helping the fight, because those siege engines hurt bad. And you will rack up some AP, because every kill will count towards you, because you will have hit everyone with your AoE siege engines, basically. So, yeah.
I guess the final tip before we kind of move on, I'm trying to think of anything else. If this isn't I mean, this, for anybody who PvPs a lot, all of this is obvious. Just to try to be, all encompassing to anybody who's new to it, or PvP is not super your thing. One other thing, there's a there's some etiquette to Cyrodiil which you'll learn so that people don't get all spazzy and stuff like that. One thing that you do this if you play for Ebonheart Pact, and if you play for either the Eldmere Dominion or the Daggerfall Covenant, you can just skip over this next minute while I explain this. You're going to want to just get real close if you're in either of those alliances. But if you're in the Ebonheart Pact, what you want to do is when you're capturing flags on either in the base or on a resource, you want to soft stack. Give yourself some room because bombers are very strong this patch. And if you cluster up really close, they will nuke the entire group of you. That's terrible. Do not cluster near each other. Do not go on the position and then read where are we going to go next? Or I'm going to check my inventory. You are going to feed other people and it is infuriating. So just give yourself some space. The capture radiuses are huge. Don't worry about not getting credit. But don't cluster unless you're out Mary Dominion or Daggerfall Covenant. Then get in nice big hugs. Everybody loves each other.
But yeah, so I'm gonna jump, I guess, right into Tales because we don't have any other news. And I want to talk about this. So, Vicious Death is back.
Oh, it sure is.
The no proc set Cyrodiil testing is over, which means proc sets are back enabled in Cyrodiil, which means Vicious Death set is back. Now, what Vicious Death does is when you kill someone, they explode. The person you kill explode and deal a massive amount of damage to everyone within 4 meters. So what these mainly Nightblade bombers do, they jump in. I believe you Soul Tether or something like that, which is another AoE skill. And they target one squishy-looking person outside of the cluster of the stacked group of enemies. That person dies, Soul Tether already drops everyone to half or so health, and they kill someone out of that group, whoever's the squishiest, basically. Vicious Death explodes, and you suddenly see, out of the 12 people in your group, top left, there's only 3 people left alive, and they are nowhere near, because they haven't, that's the only reason they're alive. It nukes people. So you have this happening when you are sieging the main gate. So when you're in the siege ram in the main gate, you're all nicely clustered in the siege ram. They jump down off the castle or just pop out of the gate and blow everybody up. Or when you are, as Lotus said, capturing a flag, when everybody's clustered together, they can kill up to 10, 15 people in an instant and just stealth away without even facing consequences for their terrible actions.
Yeah, it's essentially a Zerg buster because Zerg tactics are a legitimate tactic. So that's just it. It's this was originally came up with for the sole purpose of how do you break up a giant Zerg? It doesn't. And the answer was Vicious Death. Because if you turn into a giant Zerg ball and somebody gets in there with the Vicious Death, they'll just blow the entire Zerg up.
Yeah, everybody dies. There's no limit. There's no limit to the amount of people that it can kill.
No limit. And I'm sure I've told this story on the show before. I'm pretty sure I've always needed to check my old hard drive from my oldest PS4, and I think he might still have it on his YouTube. But years ago when I got Emperorship, we had to knock in our final Emp keep was Eldmere Dominion. And we had pushed them back, and it was a brutally long siege. And we managed to get in. We flip it, but at the same time that we were flipping it, the Daggerfall Covenant was not working with us. They were not interested in letting me get crowned either. Mm-hmm. So they tried to sweep in before we could take it to basically hit us from behind and pincer us while we were fighting the AD. We got AD down, started to grab the keep. As soon as I got crowned Emperor, I was, we're all freaking out in chat and everything like that. And everybody, before we were happy for a couple seconds, and then we were like, oh, DC incoming, and just this wall of blue. It literally looked like a wave. There were so many shields. piling through the door behind us, and it was like, we are so screwed. And my buddy, so shout out to Annex, was up on the rampart above where you normally dump oils, like down through a gate. And he still is, he's kind of like one of our resident bomber teammates. Right. And he's very good at it. And he jumped off the wall, and it is one of my favorite things ever, because he jumped off the wall into the Daggerfall Covenant, and without it being a Midyear Mayhem event or anything like that, he managed to get an 85,000 AP tick for us by killing the entire Daggerfall Covenant. He died too, but he wiped out at least 50 people. Like, I've never seen that many people die at the same time. I couldn't believe it. I was like, holy crap, what just happened? He's like, I win. I cleared the battlefield. I mean,
imagine the high of it. I mean, I've seen people killing like 10, 15 people, but imagine the high of getting an entire Zerg off the battlefield. And imagine being an alliance. Zerg.
Like,
imagine the
like
zone
I took
chat.
out an alliance. Like, can you imagine their team chat? It was probably just headsets hitting walls like from that. But
yeah,
it's still
vicious death. Yeah. I mean, it's vicious. It is.
It's very aptly named, because like I still remember his kill as much as my emperorship during that push, just because I'm like, dude, I residually got 85,000 points just because you're in my group. Like, what kind of tick is that? So
yeah. So the thing is, I used to not notice vicious death runners that much. The reason is I used to not die by vicious death. You know me, I'm always running tanky builds. Even in PvP, I am as tanky as I can be. My main gameplay has always been for PvP was crowd control, buff, debuff, without dying. That was it. I used to just like stun, immobilize, fear, immobilize again, stun again, basically drain people of their stamina as much as I can by constantly throwing out, throw caltrops, slow them down, throw shards, like the Warden shards, immobilize them, use the Circle of Protection from Fighters Guild to fear them, and then use the Shield Bash to stun them, like Silver Leash to pull them in. Constant annoyance on the battlefield. There's one guy who's not dying and constantly just throwing out crowd control. That was my gameplay. But the thing is, I had about 48k health, maxed out on resistances, running full defensive monster sets and whatnot, so I didn't die. So whenever a vicious death runner jumped in, while I was on my previous builds, pre-update 30 builds, I would still have like 60% of my health. So I was like, yeah, everybody around me died. And then the person would immediately either run away or die anyway. So I would start just rezzing people around me. The people who died to the vicious death. Now the thing is, with update 30, I realized all of my tanky builds for PvP are garbage now. They are absolute garbage, because what I didn't realize with update 30, because I hadn't done any PvP since update 30, since I was just busy doing companions, zone stuff, things like that, I didn't even log into my PvP character, is everything that used to have a flat damage or health or whatever output now scales off of weapon or spell damage, which my tank builds do not have. Crimson set, which honestly, it was a justifiable nerf. Crimson was very powerful. But Crimson Twilight, Crimson Twilight, for example, used to deal 8k damage, bleed damage to all the people around you, and would heal you for that damage. So you would stand in between like 10 people and constantly heal yourself by dealing damage to them. That now deals only 4k damage. Tears of Harbinger, which used to deal 7% of your maximum health as direct damage back to your attackers whenever you blocked, which was a set I was running, now only deals 1800. So it's not even a percentage off of my max health. It doesn't scale off of my max health anymore. So it only deals 17 or something, 1700 or something, which is pointless. With the resistances, that's not going to deal any damage to anyone. Before that, it used to, for me, deal 3,700 damage because I had an insane health pool. So that's useless now. My recent build, just before update 30, was the Smacker, I was running Unleash Terror, which is justifiably nerfed, especially after what Lotus told me what he did with that set. It was disgusting.
Don't worry about
but
that.
I went ahead and used Unleash Terror in a more reasonable way, not like Lotus, who was basically melting everybody with that set. And I combined it with Curse of Doylemish. Now, Curse of Doylemish, Lotus, drops from Scale Collar Peak. It's maybe a tier 3 set. It's not even a tier 1 set. It's at best a tier 3 set. What it does is, if a player is immobilized, feared, or whatever, basically, if they are crowd controlled, and if you do a fully charged heavy attack on them, it used to deal 17k physical damage. That's it.
Okay.
It was already reduced to like 12k before update 30. Now it scales off of your weapon damage, so it deals like 8k damage. So you have to have the person stunned, immobilized, or whatever, and charge a fully charged heavy attack before you can actually deal Curse of Doylemish damage. And this can only happen every 4 seconds, which never happens anymore, because people already just break free anyway. So, like, every 4 seconds, maybe you might deal 8k physical damage, which also gets affected by resistances. So, Curse of Doylemish is also now garbage. So, that set is useless. Celine's Web, which used to deal flat physical damage, also now scales off of your weapon damage. So, now that's also doesn't deal full damage all the time. So, basically, all of my builds that I used in PvP are no longer operating. So I had to come up with a new build. So I get to theory crafting and sort of repurposed my Clever Alchemist, the good old Clever Alchemist burst damage. What it does is every time you use a potion in combat, it gives you 15 seconds of 600 weapon and spell damage. That's what it does. And I went ahead and crafted myself the Diamond Victory set from Blackwood. Now, what Diamond Victory does is, when you use a melee ability, it gives you 400 weapon and spell damage to your ranged abilities, and vice versa. When you use a ranged ability, you get 400 weapon and spell damage to your melee abilities. So what I did was I combined these. So I have Diamond Victory active all the time. So whenever I'm casting skills, I constantly get like 450 weapon and spell damage to all my abilities. And I have Clever Alchemist active on my back bar, or my sword and shield bar. So I just weapon swap bars, pop a potion, activate Clever Alchemist, swap back to my front bar, which is a great sword, and then start dealing damage.
Okay.
It works really well in Battlegrounds. I've been getting 10 plus kills. I've been on the top in Battleground matches and whatnot. So it's been working really well, because people tend to be a bit squishy. So when you start hammering them on with that much weapon damage out of nowhere, they tend to go down pretty quick. Yeah. My problem is my resource management when I'm trying to deal damage is garbage, because I'm not used to it. I just start spamming skills and forget to actually get stamina back. So eventually I ran out of stamina. So I started using Engine Guardian to see how that will help me.
Oh, there you go.
The prick keeps giving me magicka instead of stamina, so...
Great, so you can cast all those range abilities.
Yeah, so what I do when that happens is I just switch back to my sword and shield, and just spam green dragon blood to keep myself alive until Engine Guardian starts giving me stamina, basically.
There you go. Now, here's my question to you. What are you using for your range to get your melee up?
Critical Rush.
Okay, that's exactly what I was going to ask.
Yeah.
Does Critical Rush work as that? Because it's technically melee, but it's over distance, so it's
I checked
ranged.
So ESO University has so they have a Diamond Victory list, basically. They have every skill in the game listed out in a table, and it shows whether if they proc melee supremacy or ranged supremacy with Diamond Victory.
Okay.
The tooltip says that if you use an ability with 8 meters or higher range, you trigger melee supremacy. And vice versa. If you use an ability with less than 8 meters range, you trigger range supremacy. So it's not even anymore. So apparently it got changed. I don't know when. It's not dealing direct damage with a ranged ability anymore. So casting momentum triggers ranged supremacy because it's an ability with 8 meters or less range. It's a self-cast.
Right.
So since Critical Rush also deals damage, what I do is Critical Rush, Wrecking Blow, and then just execute or my ultimate, whatever. And then even if I'm not at range, I use Critical Rush anyway, just to get my melee supremacy back.
Gotcha.
In my rotation. So what I'm gonna connect these tales to is I am now squishy. Because neither of these sets get me up to my usual 40-50k health pool and max resistances.
Yeah, these are not tanky sets.
These are not tank sets anymore. So I have a squishy PvP build, and I feel I still haven't figured it out. So I keep jumping into middle of a lot of people like I'm the tank that I used to be. Which results in getting killed by Vicious Death a lot.
Yeah.
So now I know Vicious Death is coming because I pay attention. And in my Cyrodiil stream, what has been happening is someone jumps into the middle, right? And now I'm focused. Now I know. Now I pay attention to Vicious Death, and I know I need to avoid it. I see someone jumping in. I just go like, oh shit! And I start dodge rolling. I haven't been able to get out of it yet. Every time I see a Nightblade just pop into the middle of the group, I'm like, I say random words in panic. I'm like, make some noise while I panic try to dodge roll away from it.
Random tank sounds. You're not playing tank.
Everything goes into slow motion. I see him like teleporting into the group. I see the soul tether effect, and I know what's coming. And it's like, it's about to happen. And then it happens, and everybody dies, and I'm like, oh god, it's and then they stealth away, and I'm like,
yeah, I know.
So now I know how frustrating it is because now I die from it. I used to not die from it.
I mean, my scum build got nuked, and I've had to change a lot of stuff with my things as well. So this Midyear Mayhem, I definitely feel much more on my heels than I usually do in PvP. Because I at no point will I try to flex like, hey, I'm good at PvP. Not a chance. I'm persistent at PvP. I'll say that. But yeah, usually I come up with something to make myself like there and useful to an extent. And this one, it's just like, I feel like I'm trial and error as much as I am comfortable with anything I'm using. So it's like, I don't even have like a set build-up. I keep moving stuff around. I'm like, I don't like this. What about this? I didn't like how that felt. This feels pretty good. Ooh, that felt good that match, but not this match. So I'm like, I'm very all over the place this event.
Yeah. And, I mean, I don't like using meta builds. I never followed a, Allcast Zynode or whatever build. The last build I followed was by Deltia back when Histbark and White Rakes was a thing.
Histbark.
Yeah. Back in the day when we perma blocked. But that's it. So, but sometimes I by mistake come up with these meta builds, both in tanking and not in PvP, but for example, I didn't know Diamond Victory was that good a set. I started using it. And then I realized, like, Allcast has a video saying, the most powerful set out of, Blackwood. And I was like, oh, that's cool, okay. When I come up with it myself, I feel happy. When I follow a build, it's like, I don't feel accomplished when I do things with that build.
Yeah, you'd rather be your own theory crafter.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that's been working really well, basically. Clever Alchemist, not Vicious Death, Clever Alchemist, Diamond Victory, and... yeah, I'm not settled on monster set yet. I'll figure it out.
Yep.
So, yeah, Cyrodiil has been going like that. One thing I wanted for this build, though, was Wateshran Greatsword. Because my front bar is separate from Clever Alchemist. I need Clever Alchemist to be only active in my back bar whenever I use a potion. So I had an extra 2 slot in my front bar that I could use a arena weapon with. So I thought, okay, let's get Wateshran Greatsword. I went in there on normal. I don't care about the perfected one. I went in there on normal for the first time on stream. I hate Wateshran Hollows. I had every arena in the game that is solo. I mean, on normal, it doesn't require that much DPS, but it's still, there are DPS checks, and I don't do DPS, okay?
And to be fair, even on Vet, it doesn't have that many DPS checks.
But I hate it. I hate that there are DPS checks. At least let me finish the battle in 4 hours if I can. Okay, don't make me rush it. I am a tank. My top DPS is like 10k, 13k, something like that. I'm running like Hunding's Rage and Night Mother's Sorrow or Gaze, one of the Night Mother's ones, whichever one gives the weapon damage and weapon critical, basically. That's it. Okay? And even on normal, those circles are annoying as hell. The circle that like goes in like this, you know, that gets smaller.
Oh my god, in the final fight?
The final fight. And
that is literally the reason I don't have the no death in there.
And then
I've never done that flawlessly yet without all the other crap ads get in my way and I screw it up at some point.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't target them properly either. It's like I'm trying to wrecking blow it, but I keep hitting the stupid husks that are in the way.
Yeah, the other junk gets in front of it. I
only have 5k
I've been
damage.
so close to the no death in there. I really need to practice it more, but I also solos arenas aren't super my thing either. So like, yeah, that's I would like to get better at it, but in the tier list of things that I enjoy doing, that one, I actually like Vatashram Hollows, unlike Maelstrom, which I was not a huge fan of. And actually, it's really just that final arena is just...
Yeah.
I wish I could final arena, get to the walls. That's the only thing, too. It's like the rest of the thing I actually think is pretty cool, that fight. But that stupid wall is fine in concept, except the fact that I can't get through the crap sometimes because I don't have cleave damage. That's not...
Yeah.
I would need to build totally different. I'm more of a single target. And I can usually get through it, but I always screw it up once, which would come to practice. Like if I just practice it more, I'd eventually get it. But yeah, that's really my big holdup with that place on Vet, where it's like, it's much more creative. It's like a single player dungeon or trial compared to Maelstrom, which is just an arena. Like it was just, here is the thing, here's some talking.
Up until the final fight, I was cool. Like I was, oh nice, okay, mechanics, okay, I'm making magic bridges or something like that. I'm running through fire. I was like, okay, whatever this is, you know, grappling around, things like that, figuring things out. And then I got to the final arena. I knew that, you know, the circle mechanic because of you guys, but I died a couple times. I was like, ugh. And then I sometimes died to it by critical rushing into one of the...
Yeah, oh my... Yes.
That's so... And I was slowly... My frustration bar was getting, like, increasing over time, right? Because by reflex, I just critical rush into the wall and die. Because I'm now in the...
If you come at it at a weird angle and it's like, oh, you touched the wall en route. It's like, did I?
Yeah, and then... So I got it down at some point. And then... entire arena started getting covered in basically damage thing, where you have to go into those void things, right?
Yes.
So I do, and I realize the thing is regenerating its health while I'm in the void thing. And I have 5k damage max as a pure tank player. I mean, I'm in DPS set, but even in DPS set, I don't do that much damage. So the thing is regenerating, it goes back to 50% health. And I'm like, okay, it's okay. I go back in, I critical rush into a wall, and I immediately die. I'm like, do it again. And the problem is, because I have so little damage, it takes time.
Yes,
it's not like I burn it down every single time.
And that's my problem, is my like weird hybrid build that I use for Flawless Conqueror. It's great. Like the first time I went into Vatashram Hollows, I used the same setup. It's just a modified version of the Alcast solo werewolf arena build. Mine's a little different, but it essentially just use his. It's fine. I don't need to explain the differences. They're super minimal, and it's just because of my playstyle. It's not like it's better than his. It just tailored a little more to things that I was weak at. So I was like, ooh, if I give myself a little buffer here, it makes my life easier. No issue. Going in blind, I made it to the end boss without dying or using a sigil, because I was just like, okay, I'm like immortal here. Like, this is great. But that, because of the one-shot mechanic, it negates my immortality completely because the boss itself and the mini bosses and all that other crap, none of that kills me. It's the wall. 100% of the time, I have literally only died to the wall or goofing around, like looking in lava, like, hey, what's over here? And I'm just like literally sitting in lava. Like that stuff I'll die. But that is what kills me every time. It's that wall when I inevitably screw it up.
Yeah.
Which is frustrating because, again, I just need to get better at getting crap out of its way, but it's so prone to getting in the way. It's oh god. And there's, I don't know if you know about this. I mean, you don't play a sorcerer, but if you're a sorcerer, you can just sorc streak through the wall.
Oh, wait, sorcery through the wall without dying.
You just go to the other side of it.
I hate sorcs. I hate sorcs. I hate night blades.
Pretty sure night blades can actually teleport around the side.
I hate the deep.
I'm pretty sure. Don't quote me on this one, but I think you can like night blade cloak through the thing too.
That would end.
I know sorcs can because one of my buddies was like, "Dude, what do you mean? It's so easy!" And he just like shows me the thing and just goes, Zoot! I was like, "I hate you so much." He was like, "What? It's so simple." I was like, "You suck." I assume it's a glitch. I don't think that's intentional, but it's
probably probably. And
I mean, whatever.
The thing out, game, right?
Hell no. Yeah.
So I started doing it, and then I returned from the void with the boss at 50% health, which annoyed me a lot.
Yeah.
And then it happened again, and I lost. Like, I realized there are 3 different grapple points.
There sure are.
And I don't know where the one I'm supposed to go now. It's on the other end of the arena, so I died again because I'm slow as hell as a Dragon Knight Nord without any speed buffs. So I couldn't get to it, so I died. So it took me a while to figure Watershun Hollows, even on normal. I mean, I figured out the mechanics because I was getting so frustrated that that final fight was so DPS related. It was like, not that I couldn't get through it, because on normal it is, nothing really hurts. I basically don't die to damage at all. I just keep dying to one-shot mechanics like that.
To be fair, you probably not really die to damage on Vet either.
Oh, yeah. But I was getting like more and more annoyed, and the more frustrated I get, the more mistakes I started to do. And I was like principally against it, because if all these arenas have these DPS checks, right? Hard DPS checks. Where's my hard tanking check? Where's my tanking arena? Where is the arena that just throws waves and waves of enemies at me and just tells me to survive? You can't deal any damage. They're all invulnerable. You just survive. That's it. That's the arena. You just survive waves and waves of enemies. Where is that? Or the healer arena, where you have to heal NPCs. You just can't deal any damage. You just heal through. If we get DPS arenas, give me the tank arena, so I feel happy. But yeah, I was pretty annoyed with Watershun Hollows. I tried like 3 times, I think. I got it down to like 25 minutes a run, which is, on normal, without someone, who knows how to DPS. I guess it's decent.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's speedy enough. Have you done the secrets while you're doing it?
I didn't know that there were secrets.
There's 3 secret bosses.
I don't think I did. I don't know. Maybe I did. Maybe I didn't. I have no clue. Where are they?
Yeah. Well, I don't want to spoil it for anybody who doesn't want to know what they are. Okay. I mean, it's been out for a while, but yeah, there's 3 secret bosses, and when you defeat them, you get the ability to get. How can I put this? You can get the ability to get bonus little orby things.
Then I did, because I kept getting orbs, and I was like, "What the hell is this?"
Yeah, like that.
I was questioning the orbs, and didn't realize they were giving me buffs.
Orbs or the yep. That's okay. Then you found at least one of them.
Yeah, I found the purple ones and I found the red ones, and then I didn't realize how I found them, and I was very confused with the orbs, so I started completely ignoring the orbs. So that probably would have helped my journey in there as well. But anyway, so basically, I didn't get it before I was trying to get the Watershun Greatsword for Midyear Mayhem, basically, but I didn't. I got it on the morning of Midyear Mayhem, 5 minutes before the servers went down for maintenance for Midyear Mayhem, by just doing like a single run while having my morning coffee. So that worked out. But yeah, I hate arenas. I don't like that they are DPS, like only DPS mechanic. You know, most of the mechanics in there are just DPS mechanics. And just put something in there for us tanks too, you know, the surviving players, the tanky players. Make us happy. Like something that people with 100k DPS struggle with. You know, despite having 100k DPS. Just, I don't know. I want a tanking mechanic. I've been playing this game for 7 years as a pure tank. I deserve attention. Our tanking meta hasn't changed. Our arenas are not tanking related. I'm okay with like group arenas. They are fine. Like Black Rose Prison, Dragon Star Arena, obviously, but solo arenas like I feel neglected. And now my PvP tanking builds are garbage as well. Although I did run into a tank in Cyrodiil. This was a Daggerfall guy. I forgot his name. I clipped it. So I noticed that this guy jumped into our group, Zerg.
Okay.
And everyone's focusing him. At first I was focusing him as well, and when I realized what he was doing, I just stepped back and I started watching, like, from a distance, sort of. I started walking around the guy, but not attacking him. People were hammering on this guy. The entire EP Zerg just hammering on him, and his health barely went down. He was tanking for dozens of seconds at a time, ignoring everything. He was taking a beating like I've never seen before in Cyrodiil, and he was just ignoring all of it. The only time I saw him die was that his entire group left him alone inside our Zerg, and he blocked damage from like 15 people straight for, I don't know, 10 seconds before I think he finally ran out of stamina and died. I don't know what the hell he was doing, but it was so impressive. I wanted to just message him like, dude, what is the set you are on? What is the build? Can I just...
Is he, was he doing any type of damage back to anybody? Or was he just like an unstoppable
Just taking
wall?
damage, just taking a beating. That's what
My guess from a thing that I've done before, and I was actually called just a hacker. I was like, we don't understand how builds work. But if you provided it still works, I haven't used it recently. It's a griefing build. It's literally has no purpose except to just block and be indestructible. So if you have a healer on you throwing you resources, you literally will never die. Was Battalion Defender and Cyrodiil's Crest do those with Earth Gore?
He wasn't running Earth Gore. I don't know what he was running.
So if you do the 3 of those, I question if anything, again, back in the day, I question if anything shy of 50 people could kill you.
I don't think so, because right now Cyrodiil's Crest only heals you for like 5k every 5 seconds.
Well, that's what I was going to say. With the way that they've changed everything, I don't know if that's still effective, because Battalion Defender is not nearly as good as it used to be either.
Yeah, no, you can't survive that damage with just Battalion and Cyrodiil's Crest.
Right,
There's
whereas
no
that
way. He had something
just
else going on.
Yeah, so
because
like
he was not... Like, it wasn't that his health kept going down and back up, down and back up, down and back up. His health wasn't going down in the first place. He was barely taking any damage. I don't know what sort of mitigation and, like,
I wonder
what he had, but it was
What's
insane.
Shoot,
I have a clip. I'll send you the clip.
Yeah, send me the clip, because, again, it wouldn't do a ton of damage, but that whatever that poison thing is, I always forget. It's a tanking set.
Unleash
heal 100%. What is it?
No, not Unleash Terror. I know what you mean. Something.
It's from like the Lord Warden dungeon.
Yeah.
It's from Imperial City Prison. Come
on,
Leeching
Plate. There you go. Yeah.
Yeah. That's another one, but you probably would have seen an AOE under it.
I mean, well, because it was a Zerg, I may have not noticed. Yeah, maybe not. AOE was the ones.
Right. Those I just remember being super griefing tank sets. They weren't really super effective, but it was just like how to annoy your opponents until they do something else.
Here's the thing. The people who get annoyed by pure tanks in PvP deserve to be annoyed by pure tanks in PvP. Because there is one very simple thing that you do to completely neglect any value of a tank in PvP. Ignore them.
Sure is.
Do not
Walk away.
attack them. Walk away, and the tanks are absolutely useless.
I
There's
am now
nothing
totally
they can do.
worthless. Yep.
However, people, especially the like those bloodthirsty PvPers, they get like red-eyed, I don't know, and they focus you down. And
Yep.
they deserve the grief that they get because they're not paying attention. That's on them.
Yep.
And for that reason, getting Tears of Harbinger nerfed because people were very upset about it. And it was an effective set. The only reason Tears of Harbinger was effective was because people were not paying attention.
Yes, I know. That's why that bothers me too.
Screaming. You would see zone chat screaming, "Do not attack the Necromancer! Do not attack the Necromancer with the Harbinger!" Yet you would just pop your Necromancer ultimate, run into a Zerg, and 50 people just attacking you and die.
Right. It's like, I'm sure hope you don't kill me with my Necromancers. You're painting a target on yourself and people are just suiciding against it. It's like, dude, what are you... You're like, you can all stop this. Like, this is in your hands.
I have it on clip.
That
Tank from Daggerfall, the tank I just mentioned, I have it on clip. I was just staying back, just watching my Zerg hammer on this guy while there are other people dealing damage around this guy. The only thing this guy's doing block. He's not even throwing caltrops. He's not even throwing like
literally
crowd control. Literally doing nothing other than soak up damage from 10 people. And 10 people throwing every resource, everything they have on this guy to no avail. To get one kill. When there is another Zerg throwing things at us, they are just focusing this guy. These people deserve to be griefed by tanks. I would
agree.
It's your fault. Pay attention. Don't focus the tank. And if you do not cry that he's not dying, because that is his purpose. The same way you are doing damage, and your purpose is killing people, my purpose is not dying. That's all I do. And if you focus me, that's your fault. Do not be upset about it. There we go.
It's very funny. I actually very much agree with you. And one of my favorite tactics, which again, since we've had so many mid-years, you kind of get a couple of repeat stories over the years, but I'm sure that one of my favorite things that I used to do, again, because it's the old style, when we would be in Imperial City or we would be capturing resources, one of my favorite things to do when I would just have like an all durability build, like if I was using Cyrodiil's Crest and Battalion Defender or something like that. So it was like, good luck killing me. Or another one I really liked was Juggernaut, because you don't even need to be blocking. It just gives you like, it's 60,000 hit points back if you drop below 20%. And like an overshield. Like, it was ridiculous. I would go in and, Grizz had suggested we couldn't find these stupid Nightblades. They were only interested in killing questers. And we were like, hey, look, if you're going to die in zones, you can't be too mad about that. It's a PvP zone. But just sitting and camping and ganking people trying to do quests, that's just shitty. Like, you're just being annoying. The worst of which is when they won't even fight you until you're in dialogue, so then you can't get out of the dialogue to fight back.
Oh, yeah.
It's like... You're not good at PvP.
That's garbage behavior. That's
like you're trash, and you're just trying.
I mean, I'm okay with killing PvEers in a PvP zone, but if you're waiting for them to be also in dialogue, that's okay. That's
and that's shady. My thing. It's like you can't really be too frustrated in a PvP zone if you get PvP killed, even if you're trying to do a quest. But the difference is between killing those people and specifically hunting those people. Is what I always say. That's the difference. And there were a bunch of friendlies trying to do the quest, and these Nightblades they'd jump in and they'd try to kill somebody, and it would either work or we'd catch them quick enough that they'd scamper away and then they'd go invisible. They'd go invisible even in the middle of us attacking them, because that's a great design, which I will never forgive ESO for.
Yeah, I hate that.
Literally shouldn't be allowed. But that aside, we couldn't figure out how to lure them out when we wanted. And Grizz was like, well, you're tanky as hell. Go in there and open your inventory. They can't kill you anyways, and we'll gank them when they gank you. So I went in and I literally, because you know how you do the animations where you're shuffling through your bag or you're opening the scroll. I literally was on the flag rummaging through my inventory, and 5 people come at all different angles and they're like, yeah, all ganking me. None of them kill me. And all of our team just dives out of the buildings in IC and just tears them apart. And I was like, yay, that was genius.
That is cool.
So, but I don't think that build will work anymore, to your point, because that was one of the ones.
Yeah, Citadel's Crest is right now.
And Nor's Battalion. Like, both of those are not what they used to be.
Mm. The cat, stop. She's just attacking at things on my table, on my desk, basically.
Right?
Yeah,
she's training for Midyear Mayhem.
Yeah. So yeah, what else did I think that's about it, honestly, with my tales. A lot of PvP, a lot of veteran hollows. Not a lot of, but like a couple hours worth of. I got it pretty fast, my greatsword, so I'm happy about that.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet.
And then I got into sort of Fallout 76 thanks to Spanky. So I haven't done Midyear Mayhem yesterday and whatnot, so yeah, I need to go get in and get my tickets back. Yeah. I'm also very upset that I can't find groups anymore. I found one group, and it was a very nice leader. Like, he was giving all the directions. We are gonna do this and this and this, you know. We are gonna do that. He was leading pretty well. That was nice, but that's a very rare experience now, unless you're in a PvP guild. So I asked which guild he was in. After the Midyear Mayhem, I will probably just join his guild.
Cool.
Just so I can have a dedicated, like, structured Cyrodiil. Because this time around, the lag wasn't that terrible. During primetime, Grey Host was, again, unplayable for me.
Of course.
But outside of primetime and outside of Grey Host, it was decent. So hopefully I will be able to...
that'd be cool.
Yeah, I'll be able to play a bit more Cyrodiil this time around. That's it from me, Lotus. So, what have you been up to?
Well, I was going to say, much like you, I've been doing a lot of Midyear Mayhem with mixed results. Like I said, I've been having to jump builds quite a bit because just mine, you say rightfully, I say spitefully, was nerfed. Because I don't like being nerfed, regardless of how completely deranged that build was, and it absolutely was off the rails. Like, it is a joke. Like, that build was ridiculous. Like,
yeah,
that was so overperforming. But I loved it so much; it made me so.
I mean, the only problem with that build actually was, in my opinion, the fact that Dragon Leap would count, like, trigger Unleash Terror on all 4 targets. If they just made it single target. I feel like that would have been an enough change, but yeah.
It was, yeah. I still like Unleashed. Crimson is like, that is not useful anymore at all. But whatever, I've been bumbling around with different things. I'm interested in trying that Diamonds as well. That's one of the ones I wanted to try. Clever Alchemist, I've been thinking. I actually just pulled that out before we did the show. I just pulled that out of my trunk of, like, old sets that I would use. I was like, maybe I'll bring this back. So I have a garbage uptime on my potions in there because I'm so used to using them defensively.
The problem is changing your muscle memory. Because you have to bar... If you are not going to have it active all the time, which you shouldn't, in my opinion, because then the 5th bonus is useless for the most of the duration that you have.
Correct.
On.
Yeah.
So, like,
it's more efficient not to do that.
So yeah, you gotta do something like it's active on your back bar, while on your front bar maybe you have a mythic or a arena weapon or something like that, I guess. But whenever you use your potion on the wrong bar, it's like,
yep. Talk about your all-time biggest backfires.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I've been doing a bunch of that. Also, one of the long-standing things that I finally got to get in-game was they fixed the Warhorn Achievement in Hellraw Citadel. The running joke was that the only achievement in that entire category of all the base game dungeons, hard mode, speedruns, no deaths, all the Craglorn trial, speedrun, hard modes, no deaths, all of the individual challenges. The only achievement I didn't have was a 5-point achievement for blowing the Warhorn in Hellraw Citadel on veteran.
Do you feel like your life is complete now?
We ran through because we were having some performance issues with Cloud Rest, which I won't really go into my sagas of working toward Griffinheart. We've had some issues with the block glitch issue before and some problems. So it's like, we got frustrated. So we're like, let's the weekly was Hell Ra. So everybody's like, who wants to run Hell Ra? So we decided, let's go run Hell Ra. And the joke was, it was like, can I blow the Warhorn? And everybody's like, I think you should blow the Warhorn. I was like, I think we should all blow the Warhorn and see if it gives it to different people. And it does. So for anybody curious about the Warhorn Achievement, you don't need to blow it in sync with each other. You just hit the button. It gives it to everybody that does it. And even though originally the idea of it says blow the Warhorn and defeat the enemies that it summons, I think hey, whatever, I won't complain because rarely do glitches go in my favor. I think they might have over nerfed or over corrected for it, because as soon as we blew it, it was like, congratulations, you get the Warhorn achievement. I was like, we didn't actually do the part about killing the enemies it summons, but I'm on board.
They probably couldn't figure out the bug. Then
so they were just like, look,
didn't figure out the bug,
X.
so they was like, might as well just give it, you know.
Yeah, it's like press X, then you get it. Whatever, man. Like, it's good enough, dude. Like, you get it. I was like, yay! So I finally got that. And we went in, and it's my Empty Soul Gems team. So we're the group. Yeah,
the Pixie has Soul Gem Society, and you have Empty Soul Gems.
We're the Empty Soul Gems. So it's the group that we cleared VCR a bunch of times with, and we're kind of just progging together because it's a good group and we have fun together. So we make good progress. So we're like, we'll stick together and ride it out as long as it works. We're not even a guild. We're just like a group of us. But I never had completed Hell Ra Citadel. Apparently this is a PC strat. I've heard, because some of the strategies change from console to PC sometimes, but I had never done Hell Ra Citadel this way, where we didn't break any of the gargoyles on the hard mode. I just went. So I grabbed. He was like, "Yeah, okay," because the off tank. It was the off tank's idea. He's like, "Oh, I got this." He's like, "We don't need to worry about the gargoyles." I was like, "Good," because I can't line these things up anyways. Like, I suck at this. Like, I never get the shield throw right. He always looks the wrong way. I'm like, what are you doing? So, like, I'll always miss a gargoyle or something like that. And it's not the end of the world, but I'm not the greatest at lining those up. And he's like, yeah, just grab him, stand in the middle, and just eat 1,000 cuts until he dies. And I was like, okay, I sure. So I go in the middle and I give him a good puncture, and we just start teeing off on him. And all the crap spawns because we're not doing anything else while they're just burning the boss. And the off tank, who is a Sork tank, grabs the aggro of everything and just Sork streaks out the door and just like, goodbye. And he just leaves to the front door, and all the crap just follows him down the hallway. And he's just hanging out with like all 12 gargoyles or however many there are, and all the random ads. They're all just bumbling around while he's just zapping around by the door we entered. And we just killed the main boss, and the fight ended immediately. And I think it was my best time. I think we did it in 23 minutes or something like that, the hard mode. And we were like, I actually didn't check to see it. We died so many times because we were goofing around. We were just like, hey, cool, we'll get our rewards for the weekly. We're goofing around. We beat it so fast, like 23 minutes is a pretty decent time. And we were like, man, we shouldn't have like tried to see how many gaps we could have jumped, because we had like 2 vitality, because we were like, I can make this jump, and people were like jumping over a chasm and falling into it and dying. And I was like, yeah, we probably should have taken that more seriously. We could have, because we had the #1 leaderboard score for at least 3 days. And we're like, we probably should have tried a little more at that. Like, instead, that was like it was a good run. So I was like, oh man, we did not capitalize on that. So, but yeah, I had never seen that strategy before, but I assume as long as your off tank knows how to hold all that crap and not get liquefied, I
don't know, man. I mean, the 1,000 cuts I just couldn't tank in Hell Ra Citadel. I remember trying. I remember and just failing miserably. It was.
I mean,
it was one trial final boss that just hit me so hard that I just melted. Although with my now bullshit build, I can probably...
Well, and yeah, that's very true. But I mean, to be fair, you can... If you can learn the timing of it, you can face tank it. Like,
yeah.
But the big thing is, once you know the range, like I had said, it kind of crushed your spirit.
Yeah. I was just taking hits to the face.
You just back up a little bit and just so that's the much easier way to do it rather than just be like, I'm gonna stand here and try to flex. And it's like, well, I mean, you can do that, but if you just take a couple steps back, and it makes your life a lot easier. But yeah, so that was neat. I was glad to learn that. So that was very cool that I got to learn that. I just never run it like that out of all the times I've run it. And then before we get into where I stopped having fun and I played Battlespire, the other thing that I got to experience today and got as of yesterday, shout out to my friend Rick, who just, when I said, man, I wish I could get a PS5, these things are obnoxious, in the span of 2 weeks, just all of a sudden is like, yeah, so here's a PS5. You can just buy this one.
How did you do it anyway? You seem
apparently he got into some Sony conference queue thing to which you could like apply for. Yeah, I totally did. Never got an invite. They snubbed me. Sent him a thing. And then I was told by other people that were friends with each other, one of them got into queue before Rick. They ignored him, picked Rick, and sold him the PlayStation instead. I was like, dude, what, how? So I got myself a PS5, which was wildly unexpected.
So are you in servitude of Rick for 7 years now? Is that how it works?
Apparently. I also question if he's in the Dark Brotherhood and just assassinated somebody and was like, yeah, no, I work at Sony now. It's like,
Night Mother told me to get a PlayStation 5.
So
they are out of stock even in the void.
So the Red Father requires frustration, obviously, with Sony. But I'm still on the platform because it's my main platform and I can't carry my profile around. So I'm all about making do with what I got. And I don't hate Sony. I'm just very displeased with a lot of what they've been doing recently. So whatever, given the opportunity, I really, the pretty graphics seemed nice, but I had mentioned frustrations with the performance when we've been working on Griffinheart. We've had some really heartbreaking runs where we're, for example, down to 18% on Zamaja, and then somebody falsely gets teleported downstairs and dies because they had just come up from downstairs and they weren't in the cone, and they had video proof they weren't in the cone. And I'm like, that's rough. Like, that's stuff like that's a little draining, but it is what it is. We'll keep working on it till we hopefully one day get a perfect run, but we'll see. But I was like, man, it would just be nice if this ran better, because these consoles are old. I get it.
Yeah.
And seeing how it works on PC, I know everybody loves their add-ons. Not only do I not really care about add-ons, I personally just don't want add-ons. I'm happy with however people want to play their own game as long as it doesn't affect me. I like not having all the clutter. For anybody who watches my streams, a lot of times they're like, why don't you even play with the built-in things on? I'm like, too much clutter. The PS5, I will humbly say I am shocked at the performance difference. Like, it's a little jarring. I had to get used to the frame rate being so smooth in the next gen version. It runs very similar to how it does on PC for me, smoothness wise. When the game hiccups, it's blatantly obvious that it's either server side, or like if I see somebody bounce around, it was their connection thing, or maybe my connection or something like that. But the game doesn't feel like it's struggling to keep up.
Yeah,
the way that it did before. Now it seems like maybe a service interruption or something
like that. You are
running
it in performance mode, yeah?
I'm running it in performance mode. It still looks gorgeous, but there's a heavier emphasis on performance as opposed to like 4K graphics and like high fidelity, blah, blah, blah. So it looks better anyways. And one of the major things that I didn't quite pick up on it first until I played on the PS5 for a while. Pop-in is essentially non-existent on the PS5 in my experience so far. The draw distance is like tripled.
Right.
And when you spawn into cities, this is something that I don't think I never encountered it in what I've played on PC, so I just don't think you'll probably know what this is. But if you go in, you spawn into Deshaan, for example, and you run to the Undaunted Enclave, everybody's just there with your quests, right? And you just accept them. Oh, no, not on console. You run in and the camp is empty. And then things start to materialize. Oh, now there's a tent. There's a marker for a quest. There's no person there yet. Give him a second. And then he'll just be like, pop, and then he's there. None of that's a thing anymore. It's just you load into Deshaan and everything's there, and there's people running all over the place. And I'm like, holy crap, there's so many more people on screen. So I think it was instancing who I was even seeing as well, because it just looks way more crammed full of people. And like that pop-in's not there. I had mentioned in Rock Grove, I had some issues when we were running where they're, we're like, okay, so you're going to range hunt the Weaver while they grab the Reaver. By the way, those names were meant to screw with us because we screw it up all the time. But like, and I'm looking around, I'm like, I know where the Weaver would normally be walking, but I don't see it. So when we'd run in, all of a sudden it would kind of like form in as it was running at us. And then I'd have to grab it and go out of the way or something. Now I'm like, oh, that's where I can literally just see it no matter what range I'm at. It's just obviously there. I'm like, wow, this is very different. So I am, from a standpoint of going from last gen to the next gen upgrade, yikes, is that an improvement? Like, holy crap. I think I had speculated before that I thought the age of the consoles was not helping the situation, but they can't really just not support something like that. Like that would be really bad. Man, they've got to find a way to get more people with next gen consoles. Like, if you're going to have the console version of this game, because this game has clearly peaked what it can do on last gen. Because the new gen version is like borderline a different game, at least from that perspective.
Yeah, a lot of games are struggling on the last gen right now. I mean, it's as you said, it's maxing out on everything that console can offer. What is it? 10 years old? PlayStation 4?
8? I think it's 8.
I mean,
so it's
like if you had a PC that was 8 years old, it would be struggling a lot harder than PlayStation.
Exactly. So
that's the consoles, though. They age a bit slower, and because the games are optimized for them, they handle a little bit more in terms of longevity. But man, I mean, 8 years. No wonder. Like, I'm surprised the SO was even performing to the level that it has been on PlayStation.
And that's why
old gens.
I try to cut them some slack, because I do get it, and playing it on PC, I'm aware that it's like, okay, this is definitely a console thing. So there's definitely some issues, like, but at the same time, that doesn't make them not frustrating.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
When you're playing in them,
absolutely.
especially the other thing is when you're playing at something where you're going for perfection. If you're going for a trifecta, you are going for perfection of the run. And it's like, I've gotten into, like, I like doing those. So, like, I want to get, and that's unfortunately, when you're doing something more casually, I'm messing up a world boss. I'm playing PvP where it doesn't show me a kill death ratio. So if I die a whole bunch, oh well, whatever. I just, if you're in a trifecta run, for example, and the game lags at an inappropriate moment or something like that, and you die, you have to restart. And it's one thing if you screw it up, it's like, damn, that was a blunder. Like, I need to work on that. Or you don't know a good way to pull something. I get it. When I bar swapped and my game froze, and when I came back, I was dead. That's not something I can do better. Except
like when you die because of the game. Oh,
That sounded
cat
like
just knocked some stuff
super
up.
cat damage.
Thankfully, everything is still connected because he jumped right through the cables.
Perfect.
Oh my god.
So yeah,
Yeah, you continue. I need to
He's
get some
typing
paper
for you.
towels. He just knocked
Hey,
over my
is that the water bottle?
Yeah.
Perfect. Kitty's here to help. So yeah, it's just I'm very happy with the console enhanced, at least from the PSN side of things. So that's pretty cool. Nice surprise that was the case. I wish everybody the best of luck if you are looking for a next-gen console or even a better graphics card because of the tech shortage and it's a nightmare and all this garbage. So hopefully other people have similar luck because it sucks being hampered by the hardware. And unfortunately, it's not even so much a cost aside. It's problematic for people to even just get the chance at buying them. So fingers crossed for everybody. That being said, I think that pretty much covers all of the good things that I have to say about anything. And I knew with Midyear I was not going to really be doing anything else other than playing ESO again. And found a point this week where I could yet again play an episode of Battlespire. I had mentioned that the Chimera of Desolation, which is the name of level 5, which sounds great. Sounds like a nice wholesome place. The Chimera of Desolation basically seems to be the great hunt from Hircine. And you get off the boat and there's a bikini bat babe or dark seducer, whichever you'd prefer. Just like, hey, so you're here. We're all going to try to kill you. And I'm like, what did I do? And they're like, yep, so you're going to die. And yeah, good luck. Here are the rules. And they give you these weird rules of the wild hunt, which they don't mention Hircine, so I don't know if this is his hunt in this necessarily, because they're talking about hunters and then there's other people. I don't want to get too into the weeds of like that necessarily. But
is there anyone else who has a wild hunt type thing?
Not really, but I'm not sure they created Hircine yet. Well, actually, Hircine, I believe, was in Daggerfall, so I guess. But basically what it is I need to get a hold of the Spear of Bitter Mercy.
Which I was like, Bitter Mercy.
Yes.
Okay.
It's a Hircine weapon, sort of. It's been jumbled around from different Daedric princes. But the Spear of Bitter Mercy, there are these herns, which are basically like big scamps with horns. Well, they're just invincible because nothing says fun enemy like it can't be hurt. So these things are just invincible on the island if I don't have the Spear of Bitter Mercy. And I'm like, well, that's great. We'll be avoiding those. And then I turn around and under the dock, I realize, so I have to find these 6 gate keys in order to get to where I need to go and have my fair fight, because that's supposed to be my chance. Except one of the gate keys is held by an invincible guardian guy. I'm like, that's not fair. And they're like, yeah, no, he just does whatever he wants. I was like, again, you can't say the rules are fair and then just immediately not have the rules be fair. But okay, whatever, you're cheating. That's fine. But behind the dock, I find a chess piece, which sucks durability wise, but it's the Cuirass or Cuirass, because I find out that I always say that word wrong, and it drives me nuts when people know how to pronounce something.
How is it pronounced? Please.
Cuirass.
Cuirass. Okay.
Cuirass. It is not Cuirass.
7 years of Elder Scrolls Online. To this day, I never figured out how to spell that.
I learned this last year. It is a Cuirass.
I mean, I wasn't calling it curious. I just wasn't calling it. I just called it chest piece all this time to avoid saying that word. It's like,
yep. If you look up the pronunciation to it, it's a Cuirass. So
Cuirass.
Yep. So I get the Cuirass of Savior's Hide, which again, Hircine thing. Well, in this, there's a different story to it entirely, which is kind of weird. Where it's just like this enchanted armor. It's not like ripped off him or whatever. I'm just like, okay, well, this is different. But whatever, I get this. And I realize there's other pieces of the Savior's hide all over the place. And I'm like, oh, I got to collect these. Keys. And I've got to find this guy called C. He signs all his things C. He's out in the moors of the Chimera of Desolation, I guess. It's just the name of the place. So he's got a hut somewhere. And I'm like, okay. So I got to find this guy. I was like, there's a lot of objectives we're going here, and a lot of it's just finding crap. So I just start roaming around.
Yeah.
Here's a shocker. I'm going to say some positive things about Battlespire right now.
Oh.
The setting to the Chimera of Desolation, I want back in another game. It is so creepy, even in its pixelated shit. It is such a cool... Like, I've mentioned how much I think the music is awesome in this game. The setting is just, it's eerie. It's with the music and everything. It's just creepy. Like, it has a really unsettling vibe.
Okay.
It's basically this island that's just empty. Like, desolation is a great way to describe it. There's nothing there except these things hunting you. And you stumble across a town. And there's signs up about a plague. Stay inside. And I'm like, oh, this is hitting like almost like too close to home. Like, this is creeping me out, man. Like, so I thought the vibe to the Chimera of Desolation was really unsettling, and I liked it. I was like, they made a lot of atmosphere.
That's it. Since the soundtrack, that's the only positive thing you said about Elder Scrolls Battlespire.
And it's why I'm not just trying to shit on this game for the sake of it. Like, I will give credit where credit's due.
It's just that the credit is never really due in this game.
It's very rarely due. Yes, correct. So I go into one of the houses and I have a friendly chat with a Frost Daedra, because the Frost Daedra are out here. And I don't know if this is... You can do more with this, and I just don't have the speechcraft to do it, or I botched the speechcraft way of doing this. But because of what happened in Shade Perilous, basically the Fire Daedra were given credit for helping out, and the Frost Daedra basically got blamed for the fall of Shade Perilous and me getting out.
Oh, okay.
So they're super bitter. And I tried to bargain with them and was like, hey, maybe I can try working with you. And they're like, no, well, you did this and blah, blah, blah. So I blame you for this. And I was like, oh, God, they actually remember that I kind of screwed them over last level. That's awkward. And I sort of made him start to come over to my side. And then I think I might have answered something wrong because he basically told me to go to hell. And then he decided to attack me. And I'm like, oh, damn it. So I kill him. And then the flame fire daedras are floating around, killing them, and that's when I bump into the Hearn thing, and I've got to avoid these things. But there are just enemies in packs, like,
and you can only punch them because that's
I can
what
only
you
punch
did
them
with your build.
Yes, right. Well, or I can fire arrows at them if I have arrows, but I use them all. So I have some, but so I'm going around exploring all these things. I find a crypt that I go into with a really cool art pattern. Like, it's very creepy. It kind of reminds me of like original Quake or Unreal Tournament type of vibe. Kind of cool art style. I roam around in there. I kill a bunch of obnoxious enemies. And I find the first real problem I have, because if I haven't mentioned this already, the Chimera of Desolation has a game-breaking glitch where you get between 30 and 50 saves or loads of DOS before your file becomes so large that it corrupts itself and becomes unusable. Every time you die, the game loads from DOS again. And when it does, because of the interior exteriors, from my understanding on the UESP, it spawns in the items in the game again when it shouldn't, like, because it should be zoned, but it doesn't do that. It just spawns them again. So eventually it keeps spawning them and it will make your save file so big that the game corrupts itself. And I'm like, cool, I have between 30 and 50 tries to beat this level. And I'm very prone to dying or getting stuck.
Right.
And oh boy, I found new ways to start getting out of geometry in this game. I clear these crypts and I'm like, okay. And I start walking and I get stuck in a floorboard. And I'm like, come on, like, great, here's a waste. So I reload and I walk in that general area and I get stuck in a floor. There is a tile on the ground that is not programmed correctly, and it will stick you in place if you touch it. 100% of the time, it seems like. I reiterate, who the fuck beta tested this game? These aren't like, oops, this is like a wall you can walk. These are constant game-breaking bugs.
Back then, though, like, there weren't really that much, especially for small studios, like starting studios like Bethesda was like back then in 96. There weren't really QA teams or beta testing or testing, I feel.
I mean, and don't get me wrong.
A group of people making games.
No forgiveness. So my problem with this is at least Arena or Daggerfall or these are open world. This isn't even an open world game. There are 7 levels. The end. Like right. There isn't like just the type of, well, you did this, so it could... trying to beta test like a Bethesda open world sounds like a nightmare world because there's just so many things that could happen. This has a pretty limited amount of things that could happen, and they involve me beating level 1 through 7 or not beating level 1 through 7. Like, yeah. So it's much more restrictive. So just the amount of bugs that I find is like, oh boy, this is draining. But whatever. So
how many hours are you in Spy right now?
30.
Okay.
30 hours.
How many times have you died so far in Dissolution?
Okay. I think I wasn't keeping an exact thing. I think I've reloaded DOS 11 times.
Oh, there you go. Okay, you still have
which isn't bad in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah, some leeway.
And one of the things that I was trying to do is I've staggered saves very, very dramatically, which sucks because when you die all the time or fall out of scenery fucking constantly, you want to save scum a lot so that you don't lose a lot of progress. This level is specifically a slap in the face to anybody who's been save scumming like me going through Arena or Battlespire up to this point. It's basically like, yeah, you know your fallback to get through these games? Not on level 5. It's like, God, no. So as I'm roaming around, I find some Quercus of Saves Hide here or there. Pretty cool. Big fan. Like, okay, I'm finding this stuff. It sucks. I mean, it's not worth using, but I was like, this seems mission critical. Maybe if I put it all on together, it'll make me good. I find a mausoleum, and I go inside, and there's some Daedra and Dremora and all this garbage, and I find a key. I'm like, well, I'm finding quest items galore here, and I'm just roaming around this island. I have a real bad habit of, for some reason, going back south, which is strange. I just am very directionally challenged in this island for some reason. I don't know why, but I'm finding what I need. I'm making progress, and I see this giant green. It looks like a giant emerald structure. It kind of looks like a porcupine made out of just giant rocks, like spike. And I'm like, well, this is weird. So I walk inside, and I blow up immediately. I'm like, great, don't know what that was, but I guess I'm not going in there. So I don't know what's in there because I didn't want to try it again because I was scared that it would waste too many of my reloads. So I can't chance it. Hope there's nothing mission critical in there because I don't even know what happened. I literally opened the door, it loaded, and my character goes, "Bah!" And it just goes to the death screen. I'm like, what even happened to me? Like, why? So I continue to roam around, and just packs of enemies are coming out of things. I find some castle. There's one of those herns in it, and I'm like, I can't kill this thing, so I have to leave this place. So I'm making like notes of where things are on the waypoints because I can't find squat. Like I'm finding different things, but it's like I can't just go into anything I want. So because these herns can't be killed, and when you punch them, it says it does nothing. So I'm like, okay, definitely. Unlike the wraithmen who are invincible but just seem to have an obscene amount of health. These things seem like it just straight up doesn't hurt them. I'm like, all right, well, I'm not going to waste my time. And they also hurt when they hit you. So I'm roaming around, finding different things. And then I stumble across the strangest enemy I've found in the game yet. We've named him the Everscamp McLustthirst, which is very fitting for the Elder Scrolls fam because they thirst after everything.
True.
And this scamp puts them all to shame. He's the thirstiest scamp that's ever scamped. I just arbitrarily had this scamp pop out, and I was like, hey, that's weird because I'm fighting, Fire Daedra and Dermora and Ice Daedra or Frost Daedra. Dark Seducers. I'm like, wait, scamp? Like scamps haven't been around for a while. Like they're such a low tier enemy. So this scamp starts running at me. I was like, maybe he's a quest scamp because like it seems weird that there's a scamp here. And as out of in chat, I tried talking to the scamp, and the scamp, I believe, looked lustfully at my thighs, and I was like, that's a very uncomfortable descriptor of what the scamp is doing. And then so I tried talking to again, and the dialogue in this game is mind-boggling because with an obsequious grin, he smiled and nodded at me and didn't say a word. I'm like, you just put obsequious in a video game? Like, that is the most ridiculous word I've heard in a very long time.
Oh, goodness.
So the scamp really seems to have the hots for my character, which I was not okay with. So I punched the scamp in the face, and the scamp didn't like that. So it just went and ran back at me, just making its little sound. And I'm like, okay, the scamp's good. All right. And no matter what I'd click, it always made some leering glance at me. And I'm like, okay, the scamp is far too thirsty for my comfort level. We need to put this scamp down. So I just tee off on this scamp and nothing. Just nope.
So it's immortal as well.
Seems to be, because the whole time he's just getting thrown, because he's such a low level enemy. Every time I punch him, it's basically a critical. So it's like you land a telling blow and the scamp flies into the ocean. Like I throw this thing like a baseball and he just runs back at me. And I'm like, what is happening? So no matter how hard I slug the thing, it won't die. And it runs up to me and it just claws gently at me. And it just kind of looks like, and I'm like, dude, stop. Like, why does this exist? So I run, like, I just start leaving. I'm like, I just start running across the Chimera of Desolation. I was like, I have to get away from the scamp. It won't leave me alone. And the scamp, no matter where I turn around, the scamp's right behind me. It's just different creepy dialogue every time. It won't talk to me. It's just giving me the side eye. It wants to get randy. I'm like, what is the matter with this game? Like, why does this exist?
In life, at one point, I would love to be somehow famous in any way enough to get a hold of the development team of Battlespire and just ask them, like, what was going through your head when you put this specific scamp or some of the, well, pretty much all of the Battlespire? Like, what were you thinking when you were making this game? Like, when you were designing this, what was the process like?
Right.
Why did this happen?
That's why I would like to implore, I guess, Lehman Tuttle, as he's the lore master, please, as basically, I'm just going to say there aren't enough people to say that this shouldn't be the thing because nobody's stupid enough to play Battlespire, or a couple other people have played it because it's funny, or like me, really want to see the whole series. I think that we should canonize Everscamp McLustthirst as his name because it encompasses everything he is. He's an Everscamp because I can't kill him, and he lusts and thirsts after apparently any adventurers he can see. So, I mean, it seems like a perfect description of him. I think that should be...
A talking scamp alone is unique to Battlespire. That's like...
Yep. And then one that's hyper randy for you is even weirder. I mean, maybe this one has the key that the other one told me was up its butt. Like, they all have something. So, basically, while I start exploring the island at this point, I just keep slugging the scamp in the face while looking around because I'm like, I need to continue on my quest to find all this garbage, and the scamp just won't leave, and I can't kill it. So I'm walking around, and I turn around, and I punch the scamp, and then I walk, and I don't see anything, and I punch the scamp, and I'm doing this, and then I find a hot air balloon, which I need to figure out what to do with because I don't know.
Hot air balloon? What?
I don't know. There was just a hot air balloon on a dock in the water, and there were a bunch of Daedra on it. And I'm like, oh, that at least I think it's a hot air balloon. It looks like a hot air balloon. I assume it's a balloon. It looks like a big balloon with a basket. I'm like, I don't know if I can use it, but I start walking toward it, and the scamp's right behind me with his and just clawing at me. And it's like, so I turn around, I punch it again, and I'm like, dude, this sound effect is because that is like. I mean, I can't make the sound the scamp makes very well, but that's like the best interpretation of the high-pitched to higher-pitched sound it makes. It's like, like it almost sounds like a screeching tire is kind of how I describe it. Like, so, or a door creaking open. Like, that's the scamp. And it doesn't use words like the other one. It just leers at me, which is uncomfortable. And I basically just continue exploring around like this on the Chimera, and I find this gap like in the island as I'm trying to explore, and I'm like, okay, I see over on this, there's like a thing with a drawbridge, but the drawbridge is up. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay, I need to figure out how to get that down so that I can get over to this castle. And in the background, I just hear, I'm like, oh my God, this thing is infuriating. So I turn around, I punch it again, mainly just to keep it as far away from me as possible. And I punch it, and he falls through the level.
Oh, great. There you go. That's one way to
So now he's invisible.
Oh, no.
And following me around. It's not better because that happened. It's worse. At least I assume he fell through the level. He might have just become invisible because who the hell knows? But it's, so now he's invisible, and I just hear, I was like, oh my God, now I can't see it. So now I need to look around and just be punching all the time in every direction because I have no idea what direction it's coming from. And sometimes because I'm walking into him, I stop moving because I guess I'm clipping into him. So I have to then move around the thing that I can't see to continue where I'm walking. And I'm like, this, again, I don't know why I say stupid things like this. I ask for this, I guess, at this point.
Yeah.
I was like, how could this get any worse? And I just spontaneously died. From max health to just dead. Just no reason.
I mean, you challenged the game.
I know. I was just like, now the scamp is fucking invisible. How could this get any worse? And all of a sudden, I don't know if I heard a sound effect and I missed it. It just goes into the cinematic of my skeleton in a dungeon. And I was just like, what? And it's just like, the good news is you're alive. The bad news is you're starving to death down in a dungeon. I'm like, these are all bad news. I'm either alive in the world of Battlespire or I'm dead because I'm dead. Like, no matter what, this is bad. And I was like, I don't even know what killed me. I literally, I had plenty of health. The scamp was invisible and making my life crap. But all of a sudden, I'm just like just done. So that was where I ended the stream because I was very mad because I don't know what happened. On the flip side, before I totally end, There's one other note, which I'm actually going to be discussing with our friend TES Benefactor from the Imperial Library. Shout out to the Imperial Library and Benefactor. People on stream tried to help figure this out. We spent a lot of time on stream discussing this while I was being uncomfortably followed by Everscamp McLust Thirst. I can't seem to ever get better at this game. And not in terms of like, I'm just perpetually bad. That's fine. I can live with just being perpetually bad at Battlespire. I accept that. What I mean by this is, I chose a debility or a detriment. That's the word I need. A detriment where I can't use other melee weapons. I can use my fists. I can use a bow and arrow. It's fine. Gave me points for that. I spent some of those points on other skill lines, and the fact that I can regenerate health very, very slowly, but it prevents me from totally getting effed. I did not, however, pick abilities in relation to armor.
Right.
But armor is becoming a pretty serious issue in this game. Because I can't equip anything. Like ever. It's always, you can't equip that. You can't equip that. You can't equip that. I'm like, why? Why can't I equip any of this? And if we kept thinking that we found out what was wrong. At first, I was like, I must have taken another detriment, and I don't remember it. Shout out to the people who went right back and watched the VOD, and they said, nope, you didn't do that. I was like, okay. Maybe I prevented myself from being able to use a specific type of material, because that's another thing. Oh, you can't use Dwarven or Daedric or whatever. And they were like, yeah, I think you picked you can't use Daedric. I was like, okay, that's not that big of a deal if I did. Why can't I equip anything else? And they're like, maybe it's a class. I'm like, well, I made this class. But, very astute, chat realized that even when you make a custom class, you have to base it off a class.
Oh.
My base class was a battle mage. Battle mages can only wear light armor.
Rest in pieces.
I immediately threw that theory in the trash because I'm wearing dwarven armor.
Oh. Wait. Okay.
According to the UESB, that is currently impossible. I cannot be wearing that armor. Yet on stream, I'm wearing that armor.
There you go.
What would you think would classify as light armor in this game, Ark?
Robes, leather, maybe.
Sure.
There's no medium.
How about steel or iron?
Oh, great. I mean, if
Those
you're
are
buff
light
enough,
armor.
they could be light,
Yep.
yeah.
Did light armor in this game. So I'm allowed to wear steel and iron. A dwarven chest piece, which isn't light armor. We're a little confused and perplexed on that one. And then I've got silver pauldrons, I believe it was. And people were like, wait, you're wearing silver that's not right. They were like, so we'll equip those silver shoes. I tried to put on the silver shoes, which are better than my shoes. No, you can't equip those. I'm like, what? I was like, but I'm already wearing silver. So theoretically, I qualify for that. Well, okay, can I wear dwarven? No, you can just wear this dwarven shirt, but not these other dwarven items. I was like, they're just picking and choosing. This doesn't make any sense. This is just completely illogical garbage. Like, there's no rhyme or reason for what I can and cannot equip. Until I noticed one specific thing, which we cannot find documented anywhere other than you broke the fucking game, which, of course, I did. There's a couple issues. One is a documented glitch where, for some reason, the game will forget you have the ability to equip new armor.
Oh, great. Yeah.
Because that's pretty good one. Like, why wouldn't that be a good one? Like, so, oh my God. So, all right. What happens if that happens you need to apparently strip naked so that you don't register as having any armor on, and then try putting all your armor back on, and hopefully it'll let you equip it back again. And the stuff that you couldn't do. And I'm like, watch, this is going to make it so I can't equip any armor. Like, I'm going to strip naked and then I just have to fight. I just do the whole game naked. Like, I can already see that happening. Well, that didn't happen, but it also didn't fix the problem. I can't equip any new stuff, including new light armor. Can't use that either. I literally can't use and the problem is there's no way to repair this crap. So when it breaks, I can get fucked. That's the moral of this, which is great. This is really very calming to have that looming over my head in the background all the time. So I basically just try to put on everything and hope that some of it lets me equip it. And this is where I noticed something different, which we have not been able to find any type of documentation on. And I'm going to hopefully ask some people specifically who have delved with the code of this and see if we can figure out a solution, like how this works. Otherwise, I have found a brand new undocumented glitch. So we will be hopefully, I mean, at this point, I might as well make something positive out of this. We will be able to provide to the UESP and the Imperial Library if this is as broken as it seems like, because it seems like I might have found an undocumented glitch.
There you go.
What the problem seems to be is irrelevant to what type of armor it is, regardless of its weight or its material or any of that garbage. I just can't have more than 3 on the armor class of whatever it is.
Oh.
That is apparently not a programmed feature of the game. However, regardless of what I'm wearing, all of my armor is 3. I can do 1, 2, or 3. I cannot go above 3. I'm ignoring the mechanics of, well, you can't wear Dwarven because it weighs too much. It doesn't matter. I apparently make my own rules, but only sometimes. So, for whatever reason, if that's the case, I need to do the entire game with 3 as the highest armor that I am allowed to wear. As a gauge, Daedric is like 9 per piece.
Oh, okay.
My armor ain't great. It's not good. So that's probably starting to contribute to why I die so much.
Yeah.
Because I literally can't upgrade my gear.
You are on level 5, right? Right now?
We're on level 5, yes.
You are on level 5, yeah. So you have 2 more levels to go if you survive the whatever's desolation.
Yes, the Chimera of Desolation, correct. I'm really curious how I assume you fight Dagon in the end.
That's what I wanted to ask. So the main reason you kind of went ahead and started playing Elder Scrolls Battlespire from 1996 was because we were getting Gates of Oblivion in Elder Scrolls Online, and it was a Mehrunes Dagon related quest line and storyline, and you said, well, he exists in Battlespire, so I'm gonna go see what his deal is about and see if there's any correlations and stuff like that.
Yep.
In your past 40 hours of absolute pain and suffering in Elder Scrolls Battlespire from 1996, did you so far have anything to do with Mehrunes Dagon?
So he looks like Goro and flexes in the opening video saying that he's assaulting the Battlespire.
And that's it. Like
that is it. It's like a 3-second clip.
Oh, Lotus, my good friend.
That's what I've pulled out of this after 30 hours. A very pixelated FMV where he just goes, "Rah!" and he's like flexing. And he's taking over the Battlespire. I'm like, cool.
I hope at the end you get some piece of, I don't know, information, a piece of lore, a dialogue, something.
Here's the thing.
To reward your struggles.
All of this isn't nerve-wracking enough, because this is the thing that's actually kind of disturbing. I feel like this game is holding on by a thread before it just falls apart.
Yeah, that
as
would
I've
be
out of the game so many times, and I'm on a level where if I save too much, I can blow up my save file, and I'm like, oh my god, like this is all going to probably amount to nothing in the end, because I'm going to get some game-breaking glitch where it's like, screw you. So
that would be sad indeed.
The final thing, and I mentioned this several. I don't know if I ever brought it up on the show, but during the stream, I mentioned finding Scourge, the mace, and I was like, "Oh, it's cool. It's got this, it's got this extra lore that I didn't know about. Where it's like, if Daedra touched Scourge, it like rips them into the out into the void." And I'm like, "Oh, that's pretty cool." And immediately, I came to a questioning of, do I need to be able to wield a mace for the end boss fight?
That's, yeah. See,
Because if
interesting.
If currently, do I need to be able to use a spear or spears? Yeah, their spears are weapons. Do I need to be able to use the Spear of Bitter Mercy? Like Scourge, I handed it to him, so like maybe that's their workaround. They make it into an item, because I haven't heard from anybody that says if you have only the ability to fist fight, you can't beat the game.
Yeah.
No, I feel.
But then again, no one in the history of Elder Scrolls Battlespire may have gone with the idea of, I will only play this with fists.
I've been told that fist fighting is actually a pretty solid strategy because your fists can't break. So I would think maybe somebody has done it just fists. But people have been like, I was tipped off to the save glitch by people. Like, so everyone's been helping me and I appreciate it. Not like spoiling the story, because half of the fun of this is me trying to blunder my way through this as if I have no bonuses. I've got to just figure this crap out as if we're all hanging out on my couch just playing a video game. But when something is super awkward, people do lend a hand. And that's one where I was like, I feel like it's unlikely that nobody would have come across the fact it's like, for the love of God, you need to be able to at least pick up a spear or a mace. Like, so I'm hoping that I don't get to Mehrunes Dagon and be like, well, I sure hope you have the ability to pick up this mace. And it's like, you cannot equip this weapon. And I'm just like, cool, and this is how my journey ends. So that is somewhat concerning, but so that's pretty much what happened last time. I'm still lost on the Chimera of Desolation. It's creepy as hell, I'll give it that. I think it's really neat, and the music is super ambient. I no faults to the setting in this game. I'll say that much. They got a really creepy setting vibe to this game, which I kind of wish we got a little more of that. Not so much the characters. Definitely not the gameplay. But yeah, I've got a lot more on this creepy island that I still need to figure out. I don't actually. I mean, it seems, I think I have 4 pieces of the Savior's Hide, 1 key, and I think that's so far all I've found. So I still need to find the old guy's cottage, the Spear of Bitter Mercy, 5 more big gate keys, and like 2 more pieces of Savior's Hide. So I feel like I'm going to be in this level for a long time still. But yeah, Midyear Mayhem. So we won't be doing that for a little while. Midyear Mayhem. We'll just
it came to your rescue.
Sweeping Battlespire under that rug for a little while, and then we'll come back to that.
Yeah. Well, anything else?
No, that's been my week.
There you go, folks. That's more Battlespire until, well, a break is good. A break is good, but
yeah, as soon as Midyear ends, that's when it's back.
we'll start pressuring you into playing it more for our entertainment. It'll be fine.
I've got to be 30 hours. How long can this game be? It's 7 levels.
Don't question it. Don't challenge it. You never know. All right. Well, where can people find you and all these shenanigans live and follow your Battlespire journey in real time?
I'm LotusOfDoom on Twitter, Twitch, and Discord, which I don't use nearly as much, but basically social media wise, if you ever need to get a hold of me or are interested in the random crap I post, I will be on Twitter, and then I stream on Twitch. I don't have a set schedule, but it's just kind of whenever I can. And then otherwise on Thursdays over at Robots Radio with Tom, I am one of the co-hosts of the Elder Scrolls Lorecast, where we kind of just delve into different lore topics and kind of open it up to discussion as we explore different, more concrete lore than what I've been finding in Battlespire, but sometimes you get some good crossover, so.
There you go, folks. I mean, follow him to catch his, the Tales live, basically. The Battlespire Tales. And watch him flip out in stream.
Yeah, Battlespire makes me a little more ragey than I actually really am for real. Like, just because...
Yeah.
You miss so much. How do you miss a target that's not even... Whatever. All right, that's fine. It's fine.
Well, you can find me anywhere that is Arkaniir, Arkaniir. We stream this live on Twitch at Arkaniir's Quest, Arkaniir Quest. That is Quest. And you can follow everything we do over at dungeoncrawlernetwork.com, including our other podcasts, our other shows, links to our social media, including Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, Discord. Be sure to check out our Patreon at patreon.com/dungeoncrawlernetwork, which is being revamped for July. Starting July, there will be new rewards, physical rewards like stickers, more bonus content like behind the scenes, as well as some in-game Elder Scrolls and other game related once New World releases and things like that. There will be bonus content, and we are bringing back the early access to the shows starting July, shows and every other content that we push out up to like 48 hours. So definitely check out Patreon. It is the best value if you want to support us financially. You can also consider giving us a 5-star review on iTunes, so people know that we are a real podcast, that we say real words, and we'll read those on the show as well. So yeah, thank you all so very much for joining us on this episode of Tales of Tamriel, and we will see you all next week, hopefully with a full crew. So have a good night, everybody.
See you later.
When Akatosh slew Lorcan, he ripped his heart right out. He hurled it across Tamriel, and the heart was heard to shout, red diamond, the heart and soul of men. Red diamond, protect us till the end. The laughing heart sprayed blood afar, a gout on Seer it fell, and like a dart shot to its mark down in an alien well. Magic effused the Lorcan blood to crystal red and strong. Then wild elves cut and polished it down to Chimera at a ball. Red diamond, the heart and soul of men. Red diamond, protect us till the end. When elves lost Nirn to men, Akatosh gave the stone to Saint Alesh in token of her right to sit the throne. Red diamond, the heart and soul of men. Red diamond, protect us till the end. Red diamond, protect us till the end.